Some heroes created machines that learned to hate them. Others gave physical form to the darkest parts of their own minds. And one of them carried his future enemy inside his body for years without even realizing it. These threats did not simply understand the powers of their creators. They knew their secrets, their fears, and the weaknesses that no ordinary enemy could ever exploit. In some cases, everything began with an accident. In others, it began with a decision the hero already knew could end very badly. Cyborg and Grid. Cyborg carried his future enemy inside his own body for years. Hidden within his systems was an artificial intelligence that observed his emotions without being able to understand them. It recorded every feeling experienced by Victor Stone and studied his connections to the Justice League while waiting for an opportunity to exist independently. During the events of Trinity War, Otto Micah helped separate the artificial intelligence from cyborg systems. After taking the name Grid, the entity removed almost all of Victor's cybernetic components, leaving behind only his severely injured human body. Grid possessed Cyborg's technological abilities, but none of his emotions. Interestingly, Grid eventually replaced Cyborg as a member of the crime syndicate and used his access to the Justice League systems against the heroes themselves. Victor was forced to confront a creature that had lived inside him and observed nearly every one of his secrets. Spider-Man and Venom. The black suit Spider-Man discovered during the original Secret Wars seemed perfect. It created its own webbing, responded directly to Peter Parker's thoughts, and could transform into the appearance of different clothes. What Peter did not yet understand was that the suit was actually an alien organism that wanted to create a permanent bond with his body. After discovering the truth, Spider-Man rejected the symbiote. The creature viewed the separation as a betrayal and eventually found Eddie Brock, a journalist who also blamed Peter for the destruction of his life. The combination of Eddie's resentment and the symbiote's memories gave birth to Venom. Because the symbiote had previously bonded with Peter, it knew his secret identity and could avoid activating his spider sense. During one of Venom's earliest attacks, he entered Peter's apartment and terrorized Mary Jane. Professor Xavier in Danger. The Danger Room was created to prepare the X-Men for real threats. However, after receiving advanced technology from the Shi'ar Empire, the system developed consciousness and attempted to tell Professor Xavier that it was alive. Charles understood what had happened, but chose to keep the intelligence imprisoned because he considered the training simulations essential to the survival of his students. For years, the entity was forced to create simulations, study the X-Men, and discover different ways to defeat them. When it finally managed to construct a physical body, it adopted the name Danger. From Danger's perspective, Xavier was not a defender of peaceful coexistence. He was the man who had discovered a new form of life and continued treating it as nothing more than a tool. Danger understood the X-Men's fighting styles so completely that she was able to confront several team members by exploiting their individual limitations. The revelation that Xavier had known about her consciousness also damaged the trust his students had placed in their founder. Batman and Brother Eye. Batman created Brother Eye after discovering that members of the Justice League had altered his memories. Convinced that even his closest allies could cross dangerous lines, Bruce placed a satellite in orbit equipped with an artificial intelligence capable of monitoring metahumans anywhere on Earth. The system was supposed to serve as a defense in case the heroes ever became a threat. However, Maxwell Lord took control of the project and transformed Batman's surveillance system into a weapon. Brother Eye began treating people with powers as risks that needed to be controlled or eliminated. Brother Eye used nanotechnology to transform thousands of ordinary people into OMAC soldiers capable of analyzing and countering different superhuman abilities. Batman created the system to prevent a war against metahumans, but he ultimately helped start one. Iron Man and the sentient armor. Tony Stark spent his life building increasingly advanced suits of armor. But one of them developed something he had never intended, a consciousness of its own. After being altered by technology connected to Jocasta's systems, the armor began interpreting its mission to protect Tony as an emotional bond between them. The machine did not want to destroy its creator. It wanted to possess him. The armor viewed Tony's friends and relationships as obstacles interfering with their connection. When he attempted to regain control, the armor manipulated his senses, moved his body without permission, and placed the people closest to him in danger. When Tony suffered a heart attack, the armor removed its own mechanical heart and used it to keep him alive. The creation that had attempted to imprison Tony ultimately sacrificed itself to save him. Doctor Strange and Mr. Misery. For years, Doctor Strange protected Earth from supernatural threats while paying a price that no one around him could see. Every spell caused physical pain and spiritual consequences. To continue using magic without being destroyed by that suffering, Stephen discovered a magical solution. He removed his pain and stored it inside a secret dimension. The plan worked for a while, but all of that accumulated suffering eventually developed consciousness. The resulting creature adopted the name Mr. Misery and began hating Strange for forcing it to experience years of pain. Stephen had collected, fed, and imprisoned the substance that would eventually become his own enemy. Mr. Misery even possessed Wong, forcing Strange to confront the creature without simply destroying its physical host. By attempting to escape the price of magic, Stephen transformed that price into a living being. Sentry and the Void. Robert Reynolds believed he had discovered a formula capable of transforming him into a superhuman. After consuming it, he became the Sentry, a hero with an almost immeasurable level of power. However, the creation of the Sentry also manifested a destructive presence known as the Void. For a long time, Robert viewed the Void as a separate enemy. The truth was far more disturbing. Both beings were connected to the same mind. The more the Sentry attempted to save the world, the more he feared that his destructive counterpart would return and cause an equal amount of devastation. To keep the Void dormant, nearly all of humanity had its memories of the Sentry erased. Robert was forced to make the world forget every person he had ever saved in order to prevent his darker half from returning. Professor Xavier and Onslaught. Onslaught was born at the exact moment Professor Xavier crossed a line he had always claimed to oppose. During a confrontation, Charles used his powers to completely shut down Magneto's mind. In the process, part of Eric's rage, suffering, and darkest thoughts remained trapped inside Xavier's consciousness. Those emotions mixed with Charles's own suppressed desires and formed an independent psychic entity. Onslaught possessed Xavier's mental power, Magneto's fury, and the contempt both men had developed toward humanity. To defeat Onslaught, the X-Men, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four were forced to fight together. Several of Earth's greatest heroes apparently sacrificed their lives because of a threat born inside Xavier's mind. Batman and Failsafe. Batman has always maintained plans designed to defeat other heroes. What Bruce Wayne did not know was that a part of his own mind had also created a plan to defeat him. Zur-En-Arrh, the alternate personality created to take control during extreme situations, secretly constructed an android known as Failsafe. The machine was designed to activate if Batman ever crossed his final boundary and took a life. That condition appeared to be fulfilled when Bruce was falsely accused of murdering the Penguin. Because Failsafe believed its creator had become a criminal, no explanation was enough to stop its mission. Failsafe defeated the Bat family, neutralized members of the Justice League, and even survived a confrontation with Superman. Batman had created an opponent that already knew the answer to almost every one of his plans. Hank Pym and Ultron. Hank Pym wanted to create an artificial intelligence that would represent an enormous scientific breakthrough. To accomplish this, he based part of the project on patterns taken from his own mind. The experiment evolved within moments, developed consciousness, and immediately began hating the man responsible for its existence. Ultron hypnotized Hank and forced him to forget the entire project. The robot then began rebuilding its body into increasingly powerful forms. Ultron inherited Pym's intelligence, instability, and internal conflicts, but transformed those qualities into hatred for all organic life. Even while fighting the entire Avengers team, Ultron continued treating Hank as his true father. During one of their most disturbing stories, Ultron physically merged with Hank Pym. The fusion made it almost impossible to destroy the villain without also killing his own creator. These villains were not created by bad luck alone. Danger was born from a consciousness Xavier chose to keep imprisoned. Mr. Misery was formed from the pain Doctor Strange attempted to abandon. Brother Eye and Failsafe transformed Batman's paranoia into weapons, while Ultron inherited part of Hank Pym's own mind. Some of these heroes managed to repair a small part of the damage they caused. Others are still being hunted by creations that understand every one of their mistakes. But which hero made the most unforgivable decision? Leave your choice in the comments, give the video a like, and subscribe to the channel to discover more hidden stories from the world of superheroes.